The signal wasn't meant to reach us, but it did. Welcome to Intercepted Signals, the podcast that tunes into the headlines and discusses those strange stories that echo through our world. Each episode follows the trails of UFOs, alien encounters, and the conspiracies buried beneath layers of official denial. Some may say it's paranoia, others say it's prophecy. We say it's worth listening to. So open your mind and keep an eye on the sky, because the truth doesn't always knock. Sometimes it gets intercepted.
Well, Josh, I wish you probably would wish that we were having a interference from the Men in Black, but it actually was just technical difficulties.
No, it's just because I have a bad laptop that it's held together by duct tape, and I have King Kong holding the back of it, so the dang thing don't fall over.
Can you explain again to me what you said? It was like you're holding it together, and
no. See, my cord to charge the thing, the wire, there's a broken wires I have to hold together so the wires touch to charge it, and I wrap it in electrical tape. But long story short, I need a new laptop. So I need everybody to please like, subscribe to the show so we can get monetized at some point. Right. But I do want to thank you all for listening to Intercepted Signals. We're the podcast where we talk about conspiracy theories, UFOs, cryptids, all kinds of crazy stuff. And it's been a while since we've been on. I know it because honestly, after 3i Atlas, I was in a rut, a little sad, didn't have my friend to talk about anymore. He's long gone. We said goodbye, so long, see ya. Now we don't know if anything's being left behind. But we are going to get to a few topics today, David. I know that, things have hit the news pretty hard this week, and it's ripe. It's ripe for the pickings, if you will, for our discussions that we have on these shows. David and I do this for fun. We aren't getting paid. We have no sponsors, no nothing. So your likes and shares and comments are truly appreciated. And if you enjoy Intercepted Signals, please let the signal flow and get it to all of your friends out there, family. And even the people you don't like. Hey, if you don't like us, send it to the people you don't like. That's cool, too. I like that.
And by the way, we are not paid by the government. I just want everybody to know that. I've said it before.
We're not shills. To do with this. Or are we?
Misinformation is. So, Josh,
it's called deception.
Got a bunch of things we're going to talk about today, but
yes, sir.
The main one we're going to start with is you're going to take it away with what is Artemis 2?
So we're going to get into Artemis 2. So let's take a step back. I got to take my glasses off because I cannot read my notes with my glasses on, which is ridiculous. It's called being
glasses.
Well, it's called being nearsighted. So for those of you that don't know, no, I'm not a boomer. And if you're a boomer listening to the show, it's cool. I still love you. You have great things. Physical media is awesome. Okay, anyway, I had to get that little shout out there. So a little quick, the Artemis program was established in 2017. It was signing the U.S. Space Policy Directive 1. Redirected to NASA's human spaceflight goals away from low Earth orbit and back toward the moon as a long-term destination. So they're trying to SpaceX it, basically. SpaceX has their thing, and they're just NASA has Artemis, and they're trying to land on the moon and make it a destination, build a base on it, things like that. Of course, with Mars as the eventual next step. Still, to me, is crazy because the moon is way closer to Mars, and I'm pretty sure Mars is farther away from the moon than the moon's from Earth. So, hey, whatever. I'm probably not going to be alive if that ever happens. So Artemis, the name really wasn't widespread until 2019. The roots trace back to this canceled constellation program that NASA used to have, and its continued development of the Orion spacecraft. So early construction of the Space Launch System, SLS, the heavy lift rocket. So if we bring up SLS a lot, so if you watch a lot of things on the rockets, or if you follow, and I'll do a shout out for another YouTube channel. I know he doesn't listen to it, but if you do have a chance, listeners, check out the Everyday Astronaut. he does live feeds of launches and talks about a lot of SpaceX. He does Artemis launches, things like that. Great show. But if you hear the show and just say, hey, these guys on this other show, Intercepted Signals, said something, that'd be great. But anyway, I liked watching him, so that's where I really got into this stuff even more than in the past. But so later, and this is a good fact a lot of people may or may not know, is that Artemis is the twin sister of Apollo. So in Greek mythology, so if you remember our original mission to Mars, or I'm sorry, the moon, it was the Apollo missions. It was the Apollo missions. Yeah. Fun fact, I used to work in the area where they built the Apollo rockets back in Downey, California.
Oh.
Yeah. It's all coming home, right? So the primary objectives of this Artemis, which is just the SLS, a giant rocket, returning humans to the moon for the first time since Apollo. Which one, David? 17 in 1972. We have not landed on the moon. Well, we've been there a couple of times after, but 1972 is the first time. They're going to actually try to establish a long-term presence near the moon's south pole and build infrastructure for future Mars missions. So that's kind of what this is all about. Artemis it's just not a single system, kind of like how they're expecting the what do they call oh my gosh, SpaceX. What's the big rocket? Oh my gosh, I just threw my head out. I'll think of it.
No, it's not Falcon. Is it Falcon? No,
that's the other. Those are the other ones. The Falcon 9, the Falcon Heavy. All those are a different one. But there's Starship. Thank you, Starship. Sorry,
it's called Starship.
Yeah, it's called Starship.
Sorry, that was really creative.
Well, Elon's a creative guy. Lots of money. I can buy big things. Anyway,
like spaceships.
Like spaceships to go to Mars, occupy Mars. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Yeah. Anyway, that's that. Not going to talk about why the moon South Pole. Who cares? It's just when you want to go. If we ever see it happen, it's great. So recently, we got to the point now since 2017 was announced to 2019. It was said that it's called Artemis, and now we finally got this thing built, and we're ready to put people in it and launch it to go at least orbit the moon. I think the first goal is to at least get to the moon and orbit it before they actually land on it. But we've had some delays. Yeah, so there's delays. Right now, the primary cause is a hydrogen fuel leak. So this is the most significant reason that I'm reading on Artemis 2. It's a liquid hydrogen leak detected during critical pre-launch tests. There's also a wet dress rehearsal they had in late January and early February. They detected this and yeah, so they halted it. So basically at T minus 5 minutes and 15 seconds, the countdown was stopped. So if you're watching the feed like I was and was like, what?
Yeah.
Waiting since forever and then nothing. So hydrogen is apparently very difficult to contain. It has the smallest molecule of any element. So fun fact, I did not know that until doing my deep dive into this stuff. And a lot of information I got too. I will cite the web pages and the information I got in the description on the show. So make sure you check that out if you want to read more about all this information that I'm sharing now. Before we get into the conspiracy aspect of this, which is coming very, very shortly. So anyway, there's been failures on this thing. NASA stepped down. There's been launch window constraints because of this now, and I'm not even sure when it's going to try to launch again. Artemis 3 is not reached the pad yet. It's scheduled to also Artemis 3 is supposed to come.
The reschedule right now is as of yesterday is March 6th.
March 6th. Okay. Very good. But right now it's hasn't started moving out yet because Starship is on the spot right now.
That's never not going to be funny to me, by the way.
Yeah, well, SpaceX Starship-based lunar lander. Anyway, NASA will not land astronauts until Artemis 2 is fully validated. So, and there's lots of safety reviews. So, bottom line, crew safety over the schedules, data-driven decisions over political timeliness, long-term sustainability over symbolic first. Sorry. So yeah, they're prioritizing these things before they launch it. Now, here's the other fun fact on this. Now, a lot of people kind of think that this is all staged. I don't know how else to put it. The delays aren't really needed. I guess. Um, so I have this here, but let's see. Yeah. So the delays, David. I don't even know where to start with this. We're not going to the moon because we can't.
Allegedly.
We never did.
Allegedly.
So there's that, or the inhabitants of the moon won't let us.
That's what I'm going to get into. Yeah.
That's yeah. So those are some interesting theories. Of course, when they delayed it, and a lot of the conspiracy community said, "Well, of course you did, because we actually don't think you ever went in the 70s, 60s, 70s, whatever, in the past with the Apollo mission." So, my goodness. But yeah, so I don't know where you are starting off with the inhabitant portion.
Well, let's just start with this.
Yeah.
I'm going to get this out of the way because I know that everybody goes back and forth. I personally think, well, let me start with asking you this question. Do you think we went to the moon? That we landed on the moon? What is your actual opinion on that?
So my actual opinion on it is it's very interesting opinion, because I grew up being a big fan of it. It's always been a big part of my life, in a sense that I always saw that as the stepping stone. Plus, I lived in the same area where Neil Armstrong is from, so we have a space museum about an hour and a half south of where I'm from. I like to visit that and see all the artifacts. I've seen a moon rock. I've seen all these things, and it's hard for me not to believe that we did that. Now,
I mean,
the hard thing is when you start researching these things and looking at it, and then of course everybody twists narratives and things like that. But and if you listen to any of our past shows, you always have to ask questions about everything, and so it's like, how did they get that there? and they criticize the time spent on the surface, and how, there's the Stanley Kubrick theories. There's
yeah, I'll talk about
all
it in a
kinds of
minute.
theories, that for me, it's like, I believe, but I wouldn't be surprised if it wasn't fake, if it wasn't real.
Well, I know that for you, for a lot of people that probably don't know, that you lived in Orlando and used to watch the NASA missions launch, right? Used to go
Yeah,
down to Cape Canaveral, as
yeah.
it's called.
Well, not well. To be fairly clear, I try to stay away from there during launches because it's super duper busy around there.
Oh, okay.
Anytime there's a launch, I lived in Orlando at the time, which is about it's like an hour and a half drive from the coast. So you get out there, and there's like Cocoa Beach, and then south of just south of that is where the launches took place, Kennedy Space Center and all that stuff. I went out there once and just didn't know what I was doing, and didn't have a pass to get much closer. But even when you live in Orlando and you knew there was a launch, you can just go outside and see it. It's like right there. So that's pretty cool.
Well, so I don't want to touch too much about how people talk about how we didn't go to the moon, because personally, I will state that I think we did. I've watched Sabrell, the guy that has the website that's called A Funny Thing Happened on the Way to the Moon, and I watched him on Rogan for whatever 3 hours try and disprove it. He makes some really good claims. I get it, but here's the problem I have with him is like, okay, everybody, you can't deceive your eyes, and everybody saw a rocket take off and go into the atmosphere. Like, you saw it with your eyes. So yeah, you could say maybe it just orbited Earth. I doubt that, because you still would be able to track it with a telescope. But so it went up and it went somewhere. Do I think it's that hard to get to the moon? Not really. I mean, he claims about this Van Allen radiation belt. I actually asked my dad, who's a physicist, a particle physicist, and he was talking about it. He's like, oh yeah, he's like, it's a donut, but like, look, the math I think is possible, and I mean, and all they did was math back in the day. I think it was possible to get there. Um, a lot of people are like, well, why didn't we go back? I'm like, well, I think part of the reason is like, take all the conspiracy theories aside, like there's not a whole lot of reason to go back. Like the problem is I don't think they ever mined for anything. I don't think they went very far down. There's some real evidence that like it's really hard to mine down there. There's actually two metals that don't occur naturally on the earth that are there that goes in the conspiracy that it wasn't part of the earth. Like there's so many different ideas of like how the moon was put there. I don't want to get too much into it because like I every single scientist out there has a different theory and none of them agree with each other. Like the wildest one is that the moon got stuck in our orbit, that it was slowing down the speed was so little that it just got stuck in our orbit, which is like almost impossible. It was just floating out in the middle of space and it just happened to get stuck in our atmosphere. I mean, there's ideas that it crashed. There was like a meteorite that crashed into Earth and then got stuck out there. That there was dust that formed that was in a cloud going around the Earth. There's some ideas that it was two um, dust clouds that were going around in a donut shape, and that's how the Earth and the Moon formed, which doesn't make any sense because the Earth and the Moon had different properties, so that doesn't make sense either. So there's a lot of like just like the moon is weird. To quote the Y files, like there's the people that think that let me go to that. There's they dropped the lunar module. I believe it was um one of the Apollos. They dropped the lunar module and it rang like a bell, um, which would indicate that it was hollow. And I know we've talked before about how about Dyson spheres. I'm not an astrophysicist. I am a ufologist and a cryptozoologist, but I'm not an astrophysicist. But the whole ringing like a bell, um, I don't know. I don't know how they could. When I was doing research for this, yeah, so the Apollo size monitors detected long-lasting vibrations causing the dry, rigid caused by a dry, rigid interior structure. Well, I also was wondering, like maybe like their instruments, like vibrated. Um, I mean, and here's the thing: like we don't really have good instruments that they have on the moon. A bunch of weird things are like about the moon. Like there's moonquakes. I just found out this yesterday. I didn't know that. I don't really understand that either. Um, the moon is also perfectly round, slightly squished more like an egg than a sphere. Um, it's also so our moon is it's the biggest moon to the ratio of Earth because like Jupiter is huge and Europa I believe is bigger than our moon, but in racial relation to the size of Jupiter, because Jupiter's huge, our
Mm.
moon is roughly a quarter the size of the Earth, and it's also in the perfect position. It's like 400 miles or something away from the Earth, and anyway, it's like it's the exact distance away from the Earth to block out the sun, and the exact distance away from the sun to do that too. So if it wasn't the exact size and the exact distance that it had, we wouldn't be able to have the lunar eclipses that we have, which is also like wild. Um, so let me start with the conspiracy theory that made me want to tell Josh that we should talk about this.
Mm.
Is all over the internet when I got home that day, because I like Josh, I was like, oh yeah, I'm gonna watch this live while I'm trying to work and put it on YouTube and got the little alert, and then I think I got busy, and then I got an update that it had that had halted because of the leak. And then when I went home that day, the artist formerly known as Twitter, which I call X now because I never had Twitter, but I only have X because you want to hear some conspiracy theories, you go on X. That they got all the juicy ones. And everybody's calling that the reason that it got halted is because we have an alien moon base that is not
Mm.
ours, but there's an alien moon base on the dark side of the moon, and we're afraid that the overlords told us not to. or told us not to, or they're afraid to, and somebody informed it, maybe the Men in Black. Um, the thing is like one of the conspiracy theories about all this is that allegedly we lost the all the paperwork that stated the trajectory and the map to get back to the moon. Have you heard about this, Josh?
I have not
Which
heard that actually.
oh, so it's a well-known thing, and as somebody, I don't
Apparently
want to
not.
get as somebody that knows a lot about the government, it does not surprise me. I mean, you got to think also too, like we're talking about 50 years ago, and paperwork, like I mean, you get moisture, all kinds of things, like like, and I bet you that as much data as they had, I bet they just weren't very good at archiving it. Um, because digital background, data warehousing wasn't done until like fairly recently, the last 20 years, and I'm sure they had a lot of backlog. So like I think it's probably pretty possible. Do I think we could probably get back? Yeah. Do I think this was a do I think it was a failed mission? The problem with it is like how many checks they go through just to like even be able to get to that point to where they're like, T minus 5 minutes or whatever. Like, you
Oh
know,
yeah. I mean, the
I
worst
mean,
thing that could happen is if they didn't check something and then it blew up on live television with
and that
people
I
in
mean
it.
there's
We don't
50
want
50
that.
sides of that. I mean, you're absolutely right. Like think about you and me. The I don't what was it? Which was the one that blew up over Texas? And
Oh,
God rest all their souls.
it's a
The one
Columbia.
that yeah, which was yeah, I mean you and me were alive at that time. I think I was like
Yeah.
20 when it happened.
Yeah, I
I don't
remember
know,
watching. I remember seeing that happening and then seeing the replays over and over, and
which
just
it was terrible. I mean,
still still trying to fathom what happened. And yeah, it was just
I mean, bro, I
crazy.
lived in Texas at a time. There were farmers that they would have on the news. They were like, I found a piece of it in the backyard. Like
Yeah.
it was a very somber thing, obviously. And
Hmm.
there's conspiracy theories on that. There's a guy that came out and said that NASA's hiding that they heard screams or that they reported screams and they're hiding that from the public, which I honestly I think that's probably a good thing because I wouldn't want to hear that.
No.
Um
Mm-mm.
uh the more fun part about this though is there's some real conspiracy theorists out there that believe that there's an alien bases on the moon. I mean, China reportedly last year, I believe it was, they went to the dark side of the moon with one of their rovers. They took some weird picture that looks like a monolith. Um, and they never explained what it was. NASA, of course, has its own um uh what they think it is. The problem with NASA is they've been caught lying so many times and editing photos, and they don't do themselves any favors when it comes to the conspiracy theorists. And I think that's where a lot of this comes from. Is like, they don't do themselves any credit. Um,
Now, Three Eye Atlas proved that. I mean, come on.
yeah,
I mean, geez, we still haven't got a good photo of it. We know they have
no,
them. It's just,
I mean, I
or
mean,
even
I
told.
I was telling you from the start. I was like, why can't James Webb give me a picture of Three Eye Atlas that doesn't look like a comet or not a comet, excuse me, because that's what they say. It's like just a light going through space. Like it,
Why don't you look like a comet? You're supposed to be a comet. You don't look like one. You don't act like one. How dare you? Sorry.
how dare you not look like an alien spaceship?
How dare you not look like what I'm telling the public you look like?
Yeah, yeah. This isn't helping my channel.
Oh man, I really do hope my mic is working because if I sound weird, I apologize at this point right now. So anyway,
The one thing I wanted to talk about, probably just a little touch on, um, is this. Have you heard about this Apollo 20? I believe I sent it to you in our notes.
oh, I
About the
probably didn't.
conspiracy theory that because we stopped, I believe Apollo 17 was this last time, and Apollo
Mhm.
18 was called off, I believe, because of funding constraints.
Wow.
Which also the Soviets also stopped too. They're around the same time. There's some conspiracy theorists that believe that we both halted because of an intergalactic uh like treaty basically that we wouldn't go back because of that. Um,
Mm.
but there's a allegedly there was in 1976. It was called Apollo 20, and we went back and there was they found this craft and they found this girl. Um, what is she called? Mona Lisa. So Rutledge, what is his name? William Rutledge. I'm gonna butcher that. Claimed that in Apollo 20 there was a secret 1976 U.S.-Soviet joint mission sent to explore a massive ancient alien spacecraft on the far side of the moon. According to the story, he and two other astronauts landed near the crater Isaac D. entered a sorry, that's funny to me. Entered entered a miles long extraterrestrial ship and discovered strange technology along with two alien bodies, one of which he described as a female Mona Lisa. He said that the crew recovered artifacts and the alien body and returned it to Earth. And the mission was classified with all the evidence hidden by NASA. There's nothing that corroborates this, obviously.
No.
And it's a fun story. I engage everybody to go check out the Wi-Fi episode of it. Super fun.
Did you want to get in what he said?
Yeah.
Actually, it was okay. So I was reading, of course, I was looking up stuff because there's something else I actually want to get into at the end of this episode too. But I was looking up recent events and I saw that the Daily Mail posted something about AJ Gentile, who's the host of the Y-Files.
Okay. Yeah.
Yeah. So he said that there's actually a long lost radio transmission from Apollo 11. Allegedly, it mentioned the discovery of aliens watching the crew.
Listen to that.
Yeah. So he described the story in which Neil Armstrong, Buzz Aldrin supposedly switched to a medical channel during a radio blackout and said, "They're here, they're on the crater, and they can see us." So he discussed. It was on the Tucker Carlson show. He discussed this on when he was on.
I watched that. Yeah, it's like 7 minutes, I believe, that are missing.
Yeah. So he did say that there's no evidence of it actually happening. So because they use such a private backup channel, official U.S. government sources maintain that no physical evidence of aliens have ever been recovered. Of course,
Allegedly.
yeah. So he's just repeating this longstanding conspiracy. I have not heard this conspiracy until he brought it up. So if he's resurrecting it, thanks. I appreciate that. I really do. But yeah, he's just. I guess also in the show you can watch it, and he does have other moon-related conspiracies. David already mentioned, like the Van Allen belt questions and unexplained aspects of moon missions and missing Apollo tapes. So there's a lot of things on that, which is quite interesting to me when it comes to why we're delaying Artemis and all these other conspiracies. As things go on, these conspiracies seem to keep coming true. All the crazy people may be right. And that's the crazy thing about this, all of this. Pick a conspiracy, bro. Pick one. In time, it's just nuts how things are happening right now. So, I mean, yeah.
Well, and also old Buzz, I'm gonna call him old Buzz Aldrin. He said a lot of kooky shit later on too, by the way. Like, and that's what a lot of this comes from. Like he also claimed that later that he saw structures, allegedly, that he saw structures. There's other Apollo astronauts that came out later that saw like, radio towers. They've claimed that there was pyramids. Of course, there's always somebody that claims pyramids everywhere. Antarctica pyramids, Alaska pyramids,
Las Vegas.
But I've been to that. I stayed at that hotel actually.
I did too. It's not the best.
Lexor.
Lexor.
Which, by the way, I still tell everybody when I bring it up that I wish I would have saw Chris Angel because his show's in the Lexor, and I missed out on that.
Oh, bummer.
Well, I mean, there's so much on the moon. I think at some point we might do
a lot on the moon, and they're called aliens. But not only that, but let me tell you something else AJ Gentile said about the moon. I'd like to share with you, sir.
Yeah.
Because then I want to jump to something else because I'm fired up for it. So hang in there, folks. We're gonna get to it. But AJ was actually also on the Joe Rogan Experience, episode 2327, and he was regarding aliens or alien-related ideas about the moon. I don't know when it aired, but I'm sure if you type that in, you can find it on YouTube or parts of it. or if you're on Spotify, and you're a member, find it. So he was discussing the hollow moon theory. And comets drifted directly into the realm of alien involvement. So Gentile actually said that he thought the hollow moon idea was the dumbest beep he'd ever heard.
Mhm.
But the more he researched, he became increasingly intrigued, even eventually joking that by the end of my research, I was convinced that clearly the moon is a hollow spaceship that was brought here from another part of the galaxy, and it's here, and the lizard people are absorbing our soul energy. So
Lizard people.
yeah, so this
They
was
did.
commented. It was like with humor and exaggeration, but reflects conspiracy theories, um, kind of how they do things in the Y files, and we just shouted
Mhm.
out like 2 or 3 YouTube channels, by the way. But anyway,
Yeah.
but it's also noted ancient cultures had legends of time when Earth had no moon, and suggesting that its arrival may have been a later event. Rogan then asked when the moon arrived, and Gentile discussed speculative timelines in ancient texts that describe a moonless sky. Just interesting.
There's an ancient
But
or an ancient African tribe that talks about a land before the moon, and they said that it was put there by lizard people, actually,
there you
by
go.
lizard, which I love that
That
story.
might have been the research he found. Um,
No, he
but
talks
yeah,
about it in that episode, actually.
so what more you got on the moon, buddy?
Well, I mean, we've talked about. I watched that episode. This is how I got into the Y files in the first place. Is there's a guy I worked with he's something else, by the way. And this is I think about 2021, 2022, somewhere around there. He talked about hollow moon. I brought up hollow earth theory and like how that's one of my favorites. And he was like, "What about hollow moon?" I was like, "What are you talking about?" I was just like disgusted, like that's not a thing. Just like he said from the show. And so I looked it up, and that's where I got found out about the Wi-Fi's in his Hollow Moon episode, and I was like, "Whoa, there's a lot to this," because they talk about how like the moon, like how the like the how the top rocks on the moon are younger than the or older. Yeah, that's right. I always get this confused. The rocks on the top are older than the rocks underneath, which makes zero sense.
Yeah.
And how they get denser the farther they go down, which is also weird. I already talked earlier about how they dropped the lunar orbiter into the moon and it rang like a bell. They did it twice. The second time it rang like three hours. The first time I think it was like an hour or so. Um, there's a really funny movie. I love it, but Moonfall. Um,
Oh
just
yeah.
spoiler alert. That's what that movie's about. Is how the moon is
Oh,
a
moon
alien
body.
Dyson sphere put there to watch over us. Um, it's a really fun movie. Somebody like me who thinks that kind of stuff is fun to watch. I'm sure your average viewer would be like, "This is kind of stupid." I urge you to just go watch it. Have you seen that movie, Josh?
I no, I haven't.
It is
I
fun.
can't remember why though. It was like it came out at a time where I couldn't catch it, but I'm sure I could find it. I just
You go watch it. It's fun to watch at least once. I believe the
yeah,
guy that
I,
made Independence Day made it actually. Independence
like
Day
I
and
the
Day After
choices I had
Tomorrow.
tonight, bro, are like Ender's Game or Zookeeper.
Is Ender's Game any good?
I have no idea, but we have it, and it's one of our picks for tonight.
I know the book is good, and I think
Oh, the book's
well,
great. I
I've
don't
heard
think
the
the movie's
movie's not
great,
very good.
but it's
Well,
I don't know.
here's
We're
the
limited.
thing. I think that there's probably not. I think there's the Occam's razor. Like the simplest answer is probably the accurate one. Do I think there's probably nothing real reason to go to the moon? Yeah, probably. I mean, if they went there and mined, maybe they could find some precious minerals. Some kind of metal that we could actually mine and bring back. Maybe that would be a reason because it costs obviously a ton of money to go there. Um, I mean, Elon Musk wants to build an alien base to where we'd be able to his idea is that we'd be able to leapfrog our existence past our solar system, basically like we colonize the moon and then we colonize Mars and then we keep going to where we can eventually get humans to where we're outside of the solar system, kind of like Star Trek. where we just keep going, which I get it. And, it's a stepping stone. And I think that's a great idea. And I think it's good for human for us as a species. But I mean, you could say like, oh, we should use that money for all kinds of other things. Yeah, I guess, but science I think is important, and it is important to to explore. I mean, the kid in me thinks that's a great idea.
Yeah.
That's probably realistically what happened. I think it's fun to think there's an alien base. There's a lot of movies about it. What is that? Iron Eagle or whatever it's called.
Iron Sky.
Iron Sky. That's it. I was gonna say that. That's a stupid movie, but I think it's fun. Um, there's some reports that they've had transmissions that came from it. There's astronauts reported that they got interference between their two radios, and NASA said it's just normal interference at the radios, and then the astronauts said it's not, and the conspiracy theorists think that it's actually the alien transmissions from the other side. There's been weird lights reported. You can watch all those videos all over YouTube and X. There was also like an atmospheric like fog, I think they called it, that showed up, and the moon doesn't have an atmosphere. They alleged maybe it did before. I don't know, man. I think it'd be. I think I'm going to watch this next launch, and if something happens with that, there's going to be a lot more conspiracies.
Yeah, we'll make sure we keep an update on the Artemis launches and how things are going with that. David, if you could actually, when those happen, post something on the Facebook page, because right now I'm limited on what I do with Facebook.
Yeah. I'm on all the platforms. Actually, just because of um our podcast, and because my job kind of inhibits me from being able to reach out to a lot of people. So it helps me stay in touch with a lot of people that I don't get to talk to very often.
And
But
I'm just made a solid choice to not be on social media at all.
and you know what? I think there is something to be said. Like, I was talking today, bro. This kind of relates to what you're saying. Is like I'm thinking about moving when I retire to Wyoming, and get some land out in the middle of nowhere. Like it's always kind of been my dream to have like a house that's kind of like a hunting cabin kind of
Don't
thing.
get too close to Yosemite.
I don't know. I don't know. I don't
Or
think
not
I've ever
Yosemite, Yellowstone. My gosh, get your parks right, Josh.
I was about to say
Super volcano. Anyway, I like to start
Oh,
off on the second part of this show that I really
yeah.
want to
What
get
did you want to
into.
get into?
So I wanted to keep things as timely as possible with our show, and when things pop up, I want to get into it. But I knew we were recording today, so I wanted to just bring this up. So in the
Okay.
late hours of February 10th and 11th, 2026, the Federal Aviation Administration issued a temporary flight restriction that shut down air traffic in and out of El Paso, Texas, and parts of southern New Mexico for what was supposed to be 10 days out of nowhere. If you
Which
go,
is
if you
longer
look
than
up,
9/11, by the way.
yeah, and if you look up videos now on YouTube, you see recordings of pilots and stuff saying how surprised they were. Thanks for the warning, and to go on and on about all this stuff. So this shut down commercial flights, cargo flights, general aviation, military, law enforcement, medical evacuation flights, and some versions of the order that was given. So yes, it was widely described as unprecedented. No comparable shutdown of a major U.S. city airspace since 9/11. So this did not last 10 days. It was lifted after 6 to 8 hours on the morning of February 11, 2026. Cited reasons no threat to commercial aviation remained. Now, there was no explanation at first, but here's the explanations we were given. And bear with me once I get to this, because, David, I have thought a lot about this today. A lot. So the first thing that was brought up was like Mexican drug cartel drones breached U.S. airspace near El Paso. How drones? Now, I get it. I saw some videos. I did say, well, what do these drones look like? There are drones that can blow crap up in Mexico. I've seen these things. Granted, if it's real, if it's AI, I have no idea. But here's the point: is that it is a possible threat. Now, why 10 days? No idea. If they can just shoot them down, shoot them down. Don't know. A question for you, David. Do you remember when all the drones were in New Jersey?
Yes.
How many airports were shut down during
None.
that? Okay. Just wanted
That's
to
a
bring
good
that up
point.
because there was a lot, and it was in the news a lot. It's not happening anymore. So as you can see, I think that was one thing. This is another thing. It shut down something. It's slowly getting bigger now. So the Pentagon Department of Transportation neutralized the drone threat it was this was issued. The whole thing was issued because it was out of an abundance of caution. How many times did you hear that word in 2020?
Yeah, absolutely.
See where I'm going? Okay, stay with me, y'all, because I don't want to overstep too much here, but this is all just a conspiracy idea. I just want to put a disclaimer out there. It's fun to talk about it. It's entertainment purposes only. Take it with
Absolutely.
take it with as you will. But
Well, I mean,
um,
you know that like I was telling you about this. Like I saw all over X. I'm gonna put it on our Facebook group and on all of our social medias. I was sent a video of a UAP. Um, it looks like a FLIR video of the base. I don't know if it's I can't remember what is it. Is it the let's see, the El Paso? It doesn't say where. I'll have to watch it again. And I apologize for. I can't remember if it's the base or the airport, and it shows
it's
like
near the airport, I believe.
yeah, at night, and it just shows a lot of lights in the sky. And again, everybody that listens to the show knows me. Like, it's a terrible video, and it doesn't show a whole lot. And I'm pretty
Yeah.
tired of seeing videos like that. Um, I think the idea is super fun. There's so many UFO sightings in the lore from hundreds of years ago in Texas, especially South Texas. I mean, there was a bunch down there where this is at. I mean, it's literally right next to Mexico, and I mean, right now, this taping, our relationship with the country of Mexico isn't all that good. I don't want to get political, but I mean, it really hadn't been that good ever anyway.
It's hard to
Um,
not get with anything anymore. It's like you
yeah,
could say one thing and it turned into another thing.
right,
Um,
exactly.
yeah,
Do I think that happened? Who knows, man? Like, that's a really fun idea. Like, do I think they have drones? Yeah, they probably do.
yeah.
Um, I don't. But here's the other weird thing: is like, what would they even be doing? Like just antagonizing? I don't see how the initial statement. Like, why would they even do that? What
No idea.
benefit would they have from it?
Yeah,
Other
multiple
to
other news outlets, U.S. News, PBS, the AP, Associated Press, NBC, also reported conflicting accounts. So that
okay.
it also other stemmed from a dispute between the FAA and the Pentagon. Pentagon allegedly planned tests of high energy anti drone laser system near Fort Bliss, and the FAA felt it had insufficient safety readings, responded by closing the airspace. So early reports suggested cartel drone activity were described by some officials and outlets as inaccurate or misleading, aka cover up. So with the mix of unclear communication, the FAA issued the shutdown without letting city government know, airport operations know, local emergency services, and some accounts, even the White House was not even made aware of this. The FAA just did it.
Hmm.
So it's described as chaotic, dangerous, and of course unacceptable. So all the flights were grounded. At least a dozen were canceled within hours. Um, medical evacuation flights, emergency aviation obstructed. City leadership blindsided by the whole thing. So the only thing that is a fact is that it was closed. There's no continuing threat after it came back. Officials offered conflicting explanations, which anytime if you do anything when there's a cover up, I don't want to say conspiracy, but something that is covered up that is either it's probably national security, something they're doing, they don't want you to know. But the fact that anytime you look at any news story, and this is basic proof whenever there's a cover up, is there's always conflicting stories at the beginning to confuse you and get you on a different track. That's always the case. Now, okay, so let me go. What's not on my notes right now? What I want to say. I think what's going to happen, and I'm going to give you my prediction right now. And this is not necessarily my prediction. I actually heard this, and I was trying to think why would they come out and tell us that there's aliens now? Why would they finally do disclosure? No, seriously. Why?
Yeah.
What's the only thing right now that they would want to do disclosure? That's probably the biggest thing that they're sitting on right now. Why would they come out now and say it? Because I think within the next week or two, it's going to come out.
Well, I mean, have you heard about this poly market? I can't think of what it's called right
Oh yeah,
now,
yeah,
but
that's what it's called. Yeah, yeah.
but there's a specific website. Forgive me, I can't remember
You
what
just
it's called.
That's what it's called.
Cash seed or something.
Yeah, you can just
Um,
make bets on random things.
yeah. So there's a bet that you can make that President Trump will release in this year 2026
Mm-hmm.
for the calendar year that the bet is that he will release a statement about aliens existing, basically the existence of aliens. and you can bet on it. And one of I can't remember if I sent you the video or not, but like the guy was like, "Oh, this is free money. You should bet on it now," which is awesome. It came out the same week. Like that actual statement on the Poly Market came out the same week that
Mm-hmm.
this was all coming out, which is all very weird.
It
Um,
makes sense to me.
and here's the thing. Again, I don't know a whole lot about drones. I don't own one. I've always kind of wanted one, but I don't need one, and I don't really have the time for one. But I do know from friends that have had it. I mean, and they've been around for about 10 years to be able to buy, where you could afford it. I mean, 10 years ago they were like $1,000. I think you can get them under 100 now, on Amazon. But originally, I think you weren't. It wasn't like there was something weird with the GPS where what I'm trying to get at is like after a while, like they figured out like, oh, these things don't need to be around airports, so that the
Yeah.
GPS won't allow you to get within a certain FAA specific area. Now there's ways of, I don't know, I don't want to scare people, but like I've heard of like ways to get around all that, and it does happen. Um they do have people like, agitators that try to do this. Like um
New Jersey.
yeah, New Jersey. I mean, so I think that New Jersey one, there was actually a um a military contractor that was just doing tests. I think when it came out, because even the now
Well, it's funny.
president
He's been doing it
reported.
for over a month or two and never came out and said, "Hey, it's just me." Sorry.
Right, yeah. I mean, I think all that stuff's fun because like the right hand doesn't know what the left hand's doing. They're like, oh, it's aliens. The other people like, actually, it's just the drone company. But you know,
Well, the last thing I want to say about it is why Trump is probably going to come out and say something about it soon is only because it is timely and the fact that a bunch of files were just released.
well, here's the other thing I wanted to state is, you know,
So, you know, if you know what files I'm talking about.
oh yeah, well, yeah, right. I mean, I get that. But like, let's think about this. Like your average drone that like, like a hobbyist would have, it's about the size of, I don't know, let's say like I don't know, what would you call the average drone size? Like
I
you
don't
know,
know.
like
Some
a,
people, they're about as big as a bus now that you can get.
I mean, you could get that.
But
So like, here's the thing, like a normal drone, like one you would get on like Amazon,
ugh,
it would be, I don't know, about the size of a desk or smaller, like a little, like a kid's
smaller.
desk.
Yeah.
So, right.
I mean,
So
you have one that you could just
So
hold
f-
in your
think
hands.
about
It's small.
how big would a drone have to be for you to ground aircraft? I mean, we're not, because like they have
Yeah.
like, they have like these
Because it wasn't a drone.
yeah, it was either an alien spacecraft or
It
some kind
wasn't
of
a
like,
drone. It wasn't.
you
If they
know,
were testing lasers, I could see that. And then some group saying, "Well, I don't think you have. It's okay. We need a big thing, big area blocked off so airplanes don't get shot by it." I
yeah,
get that.
there was the conspiracy theory I read. I'm glad you brought that up because I forgot about it. That there's, the space lasers that they were testing it in the area because of the
Yeah.
military base or whatever, and people always like to use that to, like as a derogative thing, like, oh, you probably believe in space lasers. Like, come on, man. To think that there's not some kind of technology that we're using up there is also kind of wild.
Mm.
Um, and I'm sure that we're not the only country that has it either. Um, do I think that's what happened with this? Dude, who knows? Like, I mean, it would be fun if we start getting more and more people talking about it and releasing more videos. That'd be fun for me to see.
No.
I'll keep checking my feed and see if anything like that happens, and I'll
Yep.
start distributing it out. But for right now, there's not a whole lot going on with it, and it's just a lot of people saying it's just weird. The whole thing's weird. Like the fact that they shut it down that long, like, but it's very weird. And
I think it's just the next step. COVID was a rehearsal, and the next one's coming.
did you get to see the newest uh discover what's not called discover disclosure day? Did you see the newest
Oh,
preview that
briefly.
came out?
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, in the reason I wanted to bring it up is, that's what we're talking about, but in the newest episode, they show like they allude that there's an alien spacecraft coming out of the clouds. They don't show the craft, but you like see the silhouette of it, so it's pretty cool. So everybody started talking like, "Oh, this movie's about aliens." Like, well, yeah, we kind of thought that was what it was, but the normies didn't know. Um,
Yeah. For sure.
you want to touch on this Jeremy Corbell thing before we go? Just a little.
You can do it really quick. Yeah.
So, this new thing that came out, me and Josh think that there probably is some misinformationists that are out there that some people called Lou Elizondo a misinformationist, that he's actually just out there, kind of doing the Project Blue Book, discrediting all of the UFO stuff. So we don't look under the rock. I personally love. We've done 2 episodes on Lou Elizondo's book, Intimate. Um, do I think he's lying? I don't think so. I think he's you. I mean, Josh met him. And you said he seemed like a generally good dude. I mean, I think you're a good judge of
Yeah.
character too. I don't know Jeremy Corbell. I follow all of his social media because the videos that he puts out are fun to watch. I first was alerted to him because the Joe Rogan, before I even like watched Joe Rogan, somebody was like, actually funny story. They're like, hey, the moon landing was fake, and I was like, no, it's not. And there's a whole Joe Rogan episode back from like 2019 about the moon landing was fake and talking to people. I don't remember who he was talking about, but that's how I found out about him. Because when he was like, "Yeah, just watch Joe Rogan," I'm like, "You mean the Film Factor guy? What are you talking about?" I didn't even never even watched his podcast before that. And then the next one I watched the same day because I mean we were stuck at work, so I watched it. Was the Bob Lazar and Jeremy Corbell episode, which is actually fun to hear Bob Lazar. The whole thing is weird about Jeremy Corbell. It's like he is a like a amateur MMA fighter, and he made this documentary with Bob Lazar, which I never watched the documentary because I actually thought it was pretty fun listening to him talk on Joe Rogan, and I think I got
Mhm.
his whole story out of that, so I didn't think it was really useful to watch the documentary anyway, because I basically already knew the story. But I've seen little snippets, and obviously, like Jerry McCorbell is not like what would you call it, Josh, that you went to college for? Like, like a documentarist. Like he doesn't have any, background in film or how to make things look nice, unlike John Fox or something. But this week, there's a bunch of people in our circle, the podcast and conspiracy UFO UAP circle, that are calling him a Fed, that he is actually being fed this stuff to purposely, like, either like you state, like your idea that like they're slowly putting that out there so it's less and less of like a shock, or they're just putting it out there to be kooky. Um, I don't know. I mean, some of his videos are there's not a whole lot there. Um, I love George Knapp because they're on a weaponized podcast together. Because the reason I like him is because he was on Coast to Coast all the time. And I personally think that George Knapp is pretty fun to listen to, and I think he's probably a good guy. I don't know that Jeremy Corbell's a Fed. My theory, actually, I just in this little thing I wanted to bring up is I think he might be being used as what they call a useful idiot, that they're using, that somebody, maybe the Men in Black, is giving him stuff they want to give just so they can put out the information that they want. I think there's probably always going to be a little bit of fighting in communities, like maybe one guy is upset that the other person is doing better than them. There's always envy. I don't know. I just don't. I think Jeremy Corbell isn't probably qualified to do what he does anyway. So I don't know. But Josh, I think we're
Yeah.
probably, unless you want to talk about anything else,
No, I'm
like,
good, man. I just think thank y'all for listening to this episode. And next time we get our next show, we'll have some updates on Artemis, hopefully. Maybe something more fallout from the El Paso incident. And if anything else pops up, well, this will be the spot. So make sure you set your notifications on whatever platform you listen to. Right now, Apple Podcasts seems to be the one where everybody's at. So if you're listening to Apple Podcasts, thank you so much. If you're on Spotify, thank you as well. Any other platforms, thank you. Just try to find us on Facebook. David is the one updating it now since I'm very limited on social media by choice. And yeah, that's where I'm at today, buddy.
and look out for some more of my new TikTok videos. We're gonna talk about maybe climate weapons. That might be fun. All right, guys. See you later. Bye, Josh.
All right. Bye bye.